I noticed you started your business to help pay off your car.
Yes.
We could touch on that a little bit, but
Yes.
was there any other drivers to becoming a student entrepreneur?
Hey, you could do this and you could sell it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Absolutely. Connections are huge, I'm learning as a business student. Let me hear your opinion.
You're getting paid $5 an hour without any material. And I was like, you know what? Don't yuck somebody else's yum. We're good.
Oh, I love that. Hello everyone, welcome back to Bridges to Business Student Entrepreneurs Edition. This is our second episode. My name is Gia Campbell. I'm here with Kaylie Painter. She is the owner of All Knotted Up. Hello Kaylie, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Tell me a little bit about All Knotted Up. Maybe how long you've been in business, where you primarily work out of, kind of what it is.
Yeah, for sure. I've been in business for probably about 3 years now. It's super small, super low key. I usually work out of social media and I'll do like pop-up sales here and there. I'll do pop-up sales at Duquesne, but I usually focus so much more on social media and then back at home. So I'll do pop-up sales at like just different show events or like craft shows and different things like that.
Cool. Do you either like prep your products beforehand a lot, or do you focus more on special orders?
Yeah, so I usually prep things before the shows, and then if somebody wants a custom order, I'll give them my card or I'll give them my Instagram and they can send me whatever they want. I really encourage custom orders. I prefer those much more because what I might find cute, other people might not. So I really like seeing people's ideas or being like, oh, I found this on Pinterest, can you make this? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. So I really rather do the custom orders, but for the shows, I try to have at least some stuff prepared. That way I can still make some type of money.
Being a small business owner is so funny because your preferences, it's the whole point, right? This is my thing, but then you also have to remember your consumers, aren't you?
Right. And other things that I've like made that I found like super ugly, I'm like, oh, I'd never wear this, or I hate this bag. Other people love.
Somebody's gonna love it.
So I'm like, you know what? Don't yuck somebody else's yum. We're good.
Oh, do you look at trends a lot when you're making things?
Yes. So I have my Instagram account, but I also frequently post on TikTok because in our generation, TikTok's like the biggest thing for marketing and different things like that. So I try to like look what other people are liking, what other people are making, what's in style. Like one thing that I've started this year that I've just posted, I've been making swimsuit cover-ups.
No way.
So a lot of the girls they like it so that they could cover up, but it's super easy and it's super light that they could just take it off and then put it back on. So that's something that's been a real big hit. So I'll probably keep on going with that. Even like beach skirts, people have liked, pants. So I'm trying to lean more that way and make it as summery, I guess, as possible.
Yeah. So I myself am a freelance photographer, and I understand that a lot of makers and small business owners struggle with pricing their time. How did you land on your current pricing model?
Yeah, so I'm from a very rural area, and it was like my first time selling up here in Pittsburgh, and I had a bag made, and I was like, oh, that's like $10. And they're like, $10? And I was like, yeah, $10. And they're like, how long did it take you to make it? I was like, 2 hours. And they're like, you're getting paid $5 an hour without any material. And I was like, that's weird. So I was like, okay, so if people are willing to pay for it, I did end up upping my prices. Like now a bag will cost like $20 or something like that. But I really do have a problem with going on the lower side because I'm like, well, I'd rather somebody buy it and like it than somebody be like, oh, that's too expensive. And then my friends who like will model for me or something like that, I'll often ask them, I'll be like, how much would you pay for this? Like if you saw this in a craft show and you really liked it, how much would you pay for it? And they give me a price and then I try to go into like the median of those. So it changes every now and then.
Yeah, it's hard to price your work for sure, coming from a personal perspective as well. I noticed you started your business to help pay off your car.
Yes.
We could touch on that a little bit, but was there any other drivers to becoming a student entrepreneur?
So I am a person who has very big ideas and I love like planning. I love doing things. I was very big in high school with fundraisers. Like I always had these big ideas and I just never was able to evaluate them and put them into play. So when I was younger, this is actually really embarrassing, but when I was younger, I used to sell the like friendship bracelets.
Yeah.
Like the embroidery floss ones. So I always like loved making stuff and I was super crafty. And then my one friend in high school, she crocheted and she's like, hey, you could do this and you could sell it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And it never really crossed my mind until I started making things. And then I crashed my car and I was like, oh, this is gonna be a little expensive. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fully go into it. And I started the business and it was a really big hit because nobody from my area does it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time it was like super trendy, like just after COVID, and everybody wanted to be like the indie pop girls and stuff like that. So I was like, which don't get me wrong, so do I.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, we're gonna try this. We're gonna see if it sticks, and it did. So I just kept going for it.
So you turned a hobby that you really enjoy into a hustle.
Mm-hmm.
What % of what you make is for fun for you versus kind of what you're selling?
The best thing, I know my parents have always told me, like when I was getting ready to go to college, they're like, make sure you're doing something that you'll enjoy. Because working for money is one thing, loving your job and getting money out of it is another thing. So honestly, I love everything that I do until it's like Christmas time and I promised all these people these gifts and I'm like cracking down on trying to get it done. So the second I'm not a procrastinator, I'll love it even more.
Yeah.
But honestly, especially with the custom orders where somebody like, maybe somebody I haven't talked to in a while reaches out to me and they're like, hey, I saw this on TikTok, can you make it? And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes I can. So I get really excited with those. And I'm also a person who can't sit still. So while I'm crocheting and I can turn on a show and it's just living the dream, honestly.
Yeah.
I always say that like I want a rocking chair when I like retire.
Absolutely.
So that I can crochet on my porch. That's the end goal.
Oh, I see it for you for sure. It seems like you really love your creativity and your business. That's exciting to hear about. So you talked a little bit about maybe being a procrastinator. Me too, there's no judgment here. Not at all. You're in school for political science.
I am.
Perhaps to go be a lawyer.
Yes, that's the hope.
The goal. So how are you balancing being a student entrepreneur and going to school at the same time? Let alone, you mentioned graduating a whole year early with 2 minors.
Yes.
A girl boss.
Yes,
absolutely.
Thank you. I'm trying very hard. This is like, it was a really big hobby and it's something that I really enjoy doing. And I knew that I'd put my schoolwork on the back burner if I kept it going. So I ended up just this year making it a summer business. So I do take 18 credits each semester. And that's a huge workload, and being political science, it's insane right now. But so I did make it a summer only business, and I just relaunched my company on April 1st. So I like posted it and I was like, hey guys, I didn't realize how much work I was actually gonna do since it's technically my sophomore year. In my freshman year, I was like, that's a breeze, like that was easy. So I was like, I can do this. And then it wasn't plausible. And as much as I love my business, I am here to get my degree and eventually make all my other dreams come true. So unfortunately, I did have to put it on the back burner. But now that the semester's coming to an end and I'm posting again, I'm selling again, I'm really excited to be back into it.
Yeah, I would say being a student entrepreneur is somewhat more difficult than somebody already out of school. You seem like you're doing a very good job though. So sitting in the Duquesne University Small Business Development Center, a very good tool for student entrepreneurs in the university, let alone across the country. There's tons of them everywhere. How has the SBDC helped you with your business so far?
Well, when I first came to school, I was very uninformed with how to like sell my stuff, what I should be posting, how my account should look. I ended up running into 2 of the seniors who were in the small business thing. Bella, she runs Bella Threads, and Abby, who's a part of or she has European summer. She sells swimsuits.
Okay. These are two clothing brands?
No, Bella does do shirts too, but she does jewelry as well.
A little bit of fellowship for you found.
Yes.
Sweet.
And I saw them on AWalk, and they referred me to here, and they were like, talk to them. We'll help you any way that we can. They got me set up here. They got me doing the pop-up sales on campus, and they told me to really utilize the center. And so far I've taken like pictures down here because just on my iPhone doesn't look too professional. So I do pictures down here, and then I've had them like look over my accounts, make sure they look professional, fix anything that could help me better it. So
Awesome. A lot of media work, it sounds like.
yes.
Sweet. So looking a little bit forward, you graduate in a year.
Yes.
What does your best case scenario in 5 years look like?
Oh, best case scenario. Hopefully I'm out of law school and I have a good job somewhere, and I'm like settling down, have a nice house, and I hope that I can still have this as a hobby. I don't know what my business will look like necessarily. I'm struggling with it, keeping my priorities straight with undergrad. I can't even imagine how law school is going to look and after law school. So honestly, I'm hoping to do as much as I can right now, put the money towards law school or my future, and now that my car's paid off. But hopefully eventually pick it back up. Like my end goal, this isn't 5 years, but I want to like get a little shop on the boardwalk and sell my stuff. Even if I'm like 50 years old, I don't care. Like that's the end goal. After I retire, I want to, you know, have my shop, get back to it, because this is something that I've really enjoyed and I don't want it to get away from me.
Yeah, it sounds like on the boardwalk too, you could definitely have your rocking chair.
Yes.
If I right now as 21-year-old me were walking a boardwalk and I see this really cool store with all handmade crochet items, and I see a 56-year-old woman sitting outside in a rocking chair, I know it's good.
Yes.
It's the same way when you walk into a restaurant and you smell it. You know what I mean? You know it's good.
Even like going different places now and I see a little crochet shop, I'm like, oh, I'm home. This is amazing.
Oh, I love that. So I think one last question I have for you is, what's one piece of advice that you would give your past self or maybe a new student entrepreneur?
Past self, don't be scared to put yourself out there. Because I was really nervous. I do come from a very small town. Everybody knows everyone. So it's like, oh, she's trying to start a business. Like, this isn't going to go anywhere. So I'd rather that I like had more confidence in myself. And for any like new entrepreneur, mainly students, reach out, talk to people. Everybody has a different story about like where they came from and how they developed their business. Any information will help you. So for them, also be confident in your work, price yourself accordingly. Don't let other people contribute to that they're like, oh, it's too much. Like, price your work how you see your work. And reach out to different people.
Absolutely. Connections are huge, I'm learning as a business student. Just shake hands with anybody and everybody. And if it's not even just to get somewhere after this, like, let me hear your opinion. So to wrap us up, first of all, thank you. This is awesome. I could tell you're so passionate about what you do, and I'm excited to see where you go from here.
Thank you so much.
I would love for you to shout out your social medias, your Instagram, your TikTok, and maybe even your personal ones.
Okay. My Instagram is all.knotted.up23. So that's where you can buy any of my stuff. I'm not big enough yet to have a website. Hopefully soon. But definitely follow, DM me, look through my stuff. If you like anything, if you see anything that you like on TikTok, message me. I'll do what I can. I love doing it. I hope you guys love wearing it. So my TikTok's the same. And I think that's all I have. I do have an email, but I rarely use it. Everybody goes through my Instagram and TikTok. Cool.
All right. Well, I think that's all we've got for this episode of Bridges to Business. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much.